Good evening, everyone. Now, I want you to take a deep breath in and exhale, because what we're about to uncover tonight is going to challenge everything you thought you knew about human behavior, about energy, and about the unseen forces that shape our reality. You see, we live in a world that's not just physical. Every thought, every emotion, every action carries energy. And when someone operates in a state of extreme selfishness, manipulation, and control, when they take and take without giving, when they thrive on deception and chaos, they are not acting alone. There is something deeper, something darker. What if I told you that narcissism isn't just a psychological disorder? What if the patterns of deceit, control, and destruction we see in these individuals are not merely human flaws, but manifestations of a much more sinister force? Because here's the truth: energy doesn't lie, and just as love, compassion, and kindness vibrate at higher frequencies, there are lower energies, demonic forces, that attach themselves to those who open the door to them. Tonight we're going to expose the terrifying truth behind narcissists. We're going to break down how their behavior isn't just psychological, it's spiritual warfare. But most importantly, we're going to learn how to break free, because once you see the truth, you can never unsee it. Narcissists are often viewed as individuals with deep psychological wounds, shaped by trauma, upbringing, or personality disorders. While these factors play a role, there is a far more insidious layer beneath their behavior, one that many fail to recognize. Narcissists are not merely toxic people, they are vessels for dark, manipulative energies that operate beyond the physical realm. These forces influence their thoughts, emotions, and actions, driving them to wreak havoc on the lives of those around them. When we look at a narcissist, we see a person who lacks empathy, thrives on control, and manipulates others for personal gain. But what if this behavior isn't entirely their own? What if they have become an open channel for something much darker? Throughout history, spiritual traditions have spoken of entities that feed off human suffering, malevolent spirits that seek to destroy love, peace, and harmony. These forces latch onto individuals whose energy aligns with theirs, using them as puppets to drain and weaken others. Narcissists, with their deep-rooted need for power and validation, create the perfect breeding ground for such entities. The process begins with the erosion of the self. A narcissist's inability to self-reflect, take responsibility, or feel genuine remorse makes them vulnerable to lower vibrational influences. Their unchecked pride, arrogance, and entitlement serve as a gateway for dark energies to enter and take hold. Over time, the person is no longer just acting out of their wounds. They are being guided by something external, something that fuels their cruelty and strengthens their grip on others. One of the most chilling aspects of narcissists is their uncanny ability to mimic emotions. They can appear charming, loving, and compassionate when it serves their purpose, but beneath the surface, there is a void. This emptiness is not just a lack of empathy, it is an absence of authentic spiritual light. What fills this space instead is an energy that thrives on deception, confusion, and emotional turmoil. Narcissists do not love, they consume. They do not connect, they ensnare. Their relationships are not built on mutual respect, but on domination and control. Many people who have endured relationships with narcissists describe feeling spiritually depleted, as if their life force was being siphoned away. This is not a coincidence. Energy vampires exist, and narcissists operate in a way that allows them to feed off the energy of others. The emotional highs and lows they create, cycles of love bombing, devaluation, and discard, generate extreme emotional reactions in their victims. This turmoil produces a surge of energy that the narcissist absorbs, much like a predator feeding on its prey. But the energy they consume does not nourish them. It merely sustains the parasitic force within them, keeping them bound to their toxic ways. Their ability to manipulate and distort reality is another sign that something beyond the ordinary is at play. Narcissists are masters of gaslighting, twisting the truth to make their victims question their own perceptions. They create illusions, planting seeds of doubt and confusion, making it difficult for others to see the truth. This level of psychological manipulation is eerily reminiscent of how demonic forces operate through deception, distraction, and division. They thrive in the shadows, using fear and uncertainty as their primary weapons. Furthermore, many narcissists exhibit an unnatural resistance to healing or transformation. While most people, when confronted with their flaws, have the capacity to reflect and change, narcissists resist this at all costs. They do not evolve. They entrench themselves deeper in their destructive behaviors. This suggests a force beyond mere stubbornness. It is as if something within them actively opposes enlightenment, growth, and self-awareness. For those who have encountered narcissists in their lives, there's often a chilling realization that these individuals are not simply difficult or emotionally stunted. They feel otherworldly. Their presence is draining, their energy unsettling, and their ability to inflict pain disturbingly precise. It is as if they are operating under an unseen influence, one that directs their actions with a calculated coldness. This dark influence is what makes breaking free from a narcissist so challenging. Victims often feel bound to them in ways that defy logic, drawn back into their orbit despite knowing the harm they cause. This is not just psychological conditioning, it is a spiritual entanglement. Narcissists create energetic cords, invisible ties, to keep their victims ensnared long after the relationship has ended. These cords act as a direct line through which they continue to drain energy, even from a distance. What makes narcissists even more dangerous is their ability to sense vulnerability. Just as a predator can detect weakness in its prey, narcissists instinctively recognize those with high levels of empathy, kindness, and spiritual light. These individuals become their primary targets not by chance, but by design. It is as if the darkness within the narcissist is drawn to the light in others, seeking to extinguish it. This is why those who encounter narcissists often feel as if they have been spiritually attacked, as if something precious within them has been dimmed. The reality is that narcissists do not act alone. They may believe they are in control, but in truth they are merely instruments. Their actions, their lies, their cruelty, it all serves a purpose beyond their own personal gratification. The energy that flows through them is ancient, relentless, and destructive. Recognizing this is the first step in breaking free from their grasp. For once we understand the nature of what we are dealing with, we can begin to protect ourselves from its influence. Everything in the universe operates on frequency and vibration. Every thought we think, every emotion we feel, and every action we take emits a certain energy. High-frequency emotions such as love, gratitude, and compassion elevate our consciousness, while low-frequency emotions such as fear, anger, and hatred pull us into a denser, darker state of being. This is not just a philosophical or spiritual concept, it is backed by science. Quantum physics has shown that everything is energy, constantly interacting and influencing the world around us. The key to understanding the connection between narcissists and the demonic realm lies in recognizing how energy operates and how lower vibrational forces attach themselves to individuals who align with their frequency. Narcissists, by their very nature, operate on a low vibrational frequency. Their obsession with control, their manipulative tactics, and their complete lack of empathy keep them anchored in dense, negative energy. The emotions they provoke in others, confusion, despair, and self-doubt, are not just byproducts of their toxic behavior, they serve a deeper purpose. These emotions create a field of negative energy that narcissists feed on, much like parasites. However, they are not the only ones benefiting from this cycle. There are unseen entities that thrive in low-frequency environments, entities that attach themselves to individuals who consistently dwell in these states. Dark energies require a host to express themselves in the physical world. Unlike high-frequency beings, which uplift and inspire, these lower vibrational forces seek destruction, division, and control. When a person embodies traits such as deceit, arrogance, cruelty, and selfishness, they become an open gateway for these forces. Narcissists, with their unrelenting need to dominate and deplete others, become perfect vessels for such entities. These energies do not operate randomly. They are drawn to specific behaviors and mindsets that align with their own nature. One of the most telling signs that narcissists are influenced by lower vibrational entities is their ability to shift energy in a room almost instantly. Many people who have encountered narcissists describe the experience as suffocating, as if the very air around them becomes heavier. Their presence alone can trigger anxiety, discomfort, and unease, even when they are not directly interacting with someone. This is because their energy field is tainted by the negative frequencies they embody, creating a ripple effect that impacts those around them. They do not just drain individuals emotionally, they distort the energetic balance of an environment. This energetic influence is most apparent during moments of narcissistic rage. When a narcissist feels exposed, challenged, or denied their sense of superiority, they often react with an intensity that feels almost supernatural. Their facial expressions change, their voice deepens, and their energy shifts into something that does not seem entirely human. Victims of narcissistic abuse often describe these moments as chilling, as if they are staring into the eyes of something beyond the person they once knew. This is because, in those moments, the energy that influences the narcissist is fully manifesting through them. Even more disturbing is the way narcissists drain the life force of those around them. They create chaos and conflict, not only to maintain control, but to generate a steady supply of emotional energy. The highs and lows they manufacture, love bombing followed by devaluation, false hope followed by betrayal, are designed to keep their victims in a state of emotional instability. This instability produces a fluctuating energy field, one that is ripe for harvesting. The narcissist absorbs this energy, but so do the entities that attach themselves to them. These lower vibrational beings thrive in environments of suffering and despair, and narcissists unwittingly serve as their conduits. Another striking indication that narcissists are connected to dark energies is their resistance to true healing and self-awareness. Unlike most individuals who possess an innate ability to reflect, learn, and grow from their experiences, narcissists seem almost immune to change. They reject accountability, twist reality, and project their flaws onto others, ensuring they never have to face their own darkness. This resistance is not simply psychological, it is energetic. The lower vibrational forces that cling to them do not want them to evolve, because evolution means detachment from those energies. Growth, self-awareness, and genuine transformation would sever the connection between the narcissist and the dark forces that sustain them. People who have managed to break free from narcissistic abuse often report feeling physically lighter, as if a weight has been lifted from their spirit. This is not just metaphorical, it is the realignment of their energy field after being entangled in the low vibrational frequency of the narcissist. The longer someone remains connected to a narcissist, the more their own energy begins to lower, making them susceptible to the same dark influences. This is why victims of narcissist abuse often experience brain fog, chronic fatigue, and even unexplained health issues. Their energy is being drained, leaving them vulnerable to external forces that seek to keep them in a weakened state. The spiritual battle between light and darkness is played out through energy. High frequencies repel dark energies, while low frequencies attract them. Narcissists, through their actions and emotional patterns, consistently align themselves with lower frequencies, making them prime targets for these entities. It is not just their personality that makes them destructive. It is the energy they carry, the forces they are unknowingly connected to, and the damage they inflict on those who come into contact with them. Spiritual warfare is not just a metaphor. It is a real and ongoing battle between forces of light and darkness playing out in the physical and unseen realms. Narcissists are not merely difficult individuals with personality flaws, they are active participants in this battle, whether they realize it or not. Their behavior follows a pattern that aligns with ancient descriptions of demonic influence: deception, manipulation, control, and destruction. They do not just harm their victims on a psychological level, they drain them spiritually, creating wounds that extend far beyond the mind and body. The reason narcissistic abuse feels so consuming, so violating, is because it is not just about human behavior, it is about a direct assault on the soul. Narcissists operate through illusions. Much like the forces of darkness that have been described throughout history, they create false realities, presenting themselves as kind, charming, and even spiritually enlightened, only to later reveal their true nature once their victims are ensnared. This deceptive nature mirrors the way malevolent entities work. They do not announce themselves as evil. Instead, they disguise their intentions, appearing as something desirable, before slowly corrupting and consuming. Narcissists play this role perfectly, gaining trust, admiration, and devotion before using it against those who fall under their spell. One of the most sinister aspects of narcissistic abuse is the way it isolates its victims. The narcissist systematically dismantles their target's sense of self, disconnecting them from their intuition, their loved ones, and their own inner strength. This is not a coincidence. Isolation is a classic strategy in spiritual warfare. When someone is cut off from support, they become more vulnerable to attacks, both psychological and spiritual. Narcissists instinctively know how to weaken their victims in this way, stripping them of their confidence, their faith, and their belief in themselves. They create confusion, making their victims question their own reality, their own worth, and even their own sanity. This level of destruction is not merely human cruelty. It is an intentional act of spiritual sabotage. The cycle of narcissistic abuse closely resembles a ritualistic process, one designed to break down and extract energy from the victim. The love-bombing phase floods the victim with overwhelming attention and affection, creating an emotional high. Then comes the devaluation phase, where the narcissist begins to chip away at their target's self-worth, sowing doubt and pain. Finally, the discard phase leaves the victim shattered, wondering what they did wrong and desperately seeking closure that will never come. This cycle does more than just damage self-esteem, it drains the soul, leaving a person depleted and disconnected from their spiritual power. Many victims of narcissistic abuse describe an overwhelming sense of emptiness, as if something within them has been stolen. They experience nightmares, unexplained anxiety, and a lingering sense of dread even long after the narcissist is gone. This is because narcissistic abuse is not just psychological, it leaves an energetic imprint. The dark forces operating through the narcissist leave their mark, creating an attachment that can persist unless actively broken. These attachments function like spiritual chains, keeping the victim trapped in a state of fear, self-doubt, and emotional paralysis. Another sign that narcissistic abuse is a form of spiritual warfare is the way it seeks to suppress truth. Narcissists cannot tolerate exposure. The moment their lies are threatened, they lash out, often with extreme cruelty. This is because their power depends on deception. Darkness cannot exist in the presence of light, and truth is the greatest weapon against manipulation. This is why narcissists engage in smear campaigns, gaslighting, and character assassination. They must keep their victims in the world blind to the reality of who they truly are. The moment their deception is broken, their power begins to weaken, much like how malevolent forces recoil when confronted with truth, faith, and spiritual strength. Another chilling aspect of narcissistic abuse is the way it mirrors possession. When a narcissist enters a fit of rage, their entire energy shifts. Their voice may deepen, their facial expressions contort, and their gaze may become hollow or unnervingly intense. Many people who have encountered narcissistic abuse describe feeling as if they were staring into something inhuman, as if the person before them was no longer in control. This level of emotional and energetic transformation is not normal. It suggests the presence of something beyond the individual themselves. Just as possession in spiritual traditions involves an external entity influencing a human vassal, narcissists seem to channel something dark and destructive when they unleash their wrath. Their resistance to healing is another key indicator of the spiritual nature of narcissistic abuse. Unlike most individuals who learn and grow from their mistakes, narcissists seem incapable of genuine change. They do not evolve, they do not seek redemption, and they do not strive for higher understanding. Instead, they repeat the same cycles of destruction, often becoming worse with time. This stagnation is not just psychological, it is spiritual. Growth requires humility, self-awareness, and a willingness to confront one's own darkness. Narcissists avoid this at all costs because to do so would weaken the forces that fuel them. Perhaps the most dangerous aspect of narcissistic abuse is the way it can weaken the spirit of the victim, making them more susceptible to future attacks. A person who has been drained by a narcissist often finds themselves drawn to similar individuals, repeating the cycle over and over. This is not random. Once a person's energy has been lowered, They become more vulnerable to dark forces and the people who serve them. The goal of spiritual warfare is to keep a person trapped in a state of suffering, unable to rise above the chaos. Narcissists act as agents of this chaos, keeping their victims in a constant state of turmoil, preventing them from reclaiming their inner power. Breaking free from the grip of a narcissist is not just a physical or emotional process. It is a deeply spiritual battle that requires awareness, energetic detachment, and intentional protection. Narcissists do not simply walk away when their victims try to leave. They cling, manipulate, and attempt to pull their targets back into their toxic web, often using tactics designed to create confusion, guilt, and emotional dependency. This is because narcissistic relationships are not just based on surface-level attachment. They are energetic bonds that must be severed with precision and strength. Understanding how to break free begins with recognizing the nature of these bonds and taking conscious steps to reclaim personal power. One of the most important steps in breaking free is recognizing that narcissists create invisible energetic cords between themselves and their victims. These cords function as pathways through which they continue to drain energy even from a distance. This is why so many people feel an inexplicable pull toward their narcissistic abuser, even when they logically understand that the relationship is harmful. These energetic ties do not dissolve simply by cutting off communication. They must be actively removed through spiritual and emotional cleansing. Methods such as meditation, visualization, prayer, and energy healing can help to sever these cords and restore balance to the spirit. Another critical step is strengthening personal energy. Narcissists thrive in environments where their victims are depleted, uncertain, and weak. They attack the mind, body, and spirit, leaving their targets feeling exhausted and disconnected from their own intuition. Rebuilding energetic strength requires grounding practices such as breath work, time in nature, journaling, and mindfulness. The truth about narcissists goes far beyond psychology. It is a battle of energy, frequency, and spiritual warfare. These individuals are not just toxic, they serve as vessels for dark, manipulative forces that seek to drain, deceive, and destroy. Their ability to control, confuse, and consume others is not merely a personality flaw, but a manifestation of something much more insidious. The terrifying reality is that their power thrives in deception, in keeping their victims trapped in cycles of fear, self-doubt, and emotional turmoil. But there is hope. Once we recognize the true nature of narcissistic abuse, we gain the ability to break free, not just physically, but spiritually. Awareness is the first step, but true liberation comes from severing energetic ties, raising our frequency, and reclaiming our power. Spiritual protection is not just an option, it is a necessity. Through intention, boundaries, and faith in the higher forces of light, we can shield ourselves from their influence and step into a place of strength, clarity, and healing. This is not just about escaping a toxic person. It is about reclaiming your soul, your truth, and your divine energy. The forces of darkness thrive on fear, but they crumble in the presence of light. You are not powerless. You are not broken. You are a force of energy, capable of rising above the deception and stepping into a life of freedom, peace, and spiritual protection. The battle may be fierce, but victory belongs to those who awaken, stand firm, and choose to walk in the power of truth.